Are you spending more time writing about children's learning than you are engaging in it? Well, if you're finding excuses not to write those summative assessments, you're running out of time as we're getting closer to the end of the year, then this video is going to show you a new, more efficient and meaningful way to get them done on time without needing to spend your weekend writing. Sound good? Hi there, Empowered Eds, welcome back. I'm Jodie from The Empowered Educator, and today I want to talk about a topic that I know can be a real source of confusion, even, yes, frustration for many educators. I'm talking about summative assessments. I hear this all the time from educators in our community. I'm already doing observations, I'm doing learning stories, I'm doing photo collages. Now I have to do assessments on top of all of this. Why this paperwork? And if you've ever felt that way, I want you to know that it's a completely valid feeling and it can feel just like another piece of paperwork on that already very full plate that we have as educators. So I know you're already sighing and telling me that you do all of this with your observations and learning stories, and you are right. The point of a summative assessment isn't to create more work. It's about bringing all of the evidence that you've already worked so hard on collecting together to show that ongoing cycle of planning and tell a really clear story of the child's visual progress. Let's first reframe the word assessment, because I know many of us in early childhood don't like using that term in relation to young children, and it's for good reason. We're not talking about formal testing here or report cards. In early learning, a summative assessment is simply about telling the story of a child's unique learning journey and showing the distance traveled, is how I like to put it, over a period of time. So it might help to think of it like you're putting together a jigsaw puzzle, and each piece is a different type of your documentation. So over the weeks, you work really hard to collect all those detailed individual sort of puzzle pieces that I call your documentation. So that could be the learning story that shows a child's growing confidence in their climbing. Perhaps it's a quick photo of them concentrating hard on threading beads onto that string, or that scribble of a note about something that was funny and meaningful that they said during their play with their friends. So each piece comes together to make that valuable snapshot of learning. I hope that makes sense. A summative assessment really is just simply the moment you're going to bring all of those little pieces together to better allow you to see the bigger picture. It's how we sum up the child's unique journey so far, celebrating their strengths and identifying how we can best support them next. It's not meant to be seen as extra work. It's the meaningful final step of the work that you've already doing, and ensures that all that time you've spent doing that documentation previously hasn't been wasted time. So it seems like a huge responsibility to get done for every child though, and it is. So if you've ever felt really overwhelmed by it, then you are certainly not alone. And that's what I'm going to help you with today. The requirement for us as Australian educators is really a two-step process. So step one, I want you to think of it like it's what you do every week. You're gathering all those puzzle pieces throughout your observations. Step two is periodically when we bring those relevant puzzle pieces together to form an engaging summary of the child's progress and future learning goals, so that it's easy also for families to understand. Now, the biggest challenge often in this process, and the thing that can cause the most stress, is organising and getting it all together. So if your puzzle pieces are scattered everywhere, trying to build and put together that final picture can feel like just too much, especially when you have over 20, perhaps 30 to do. The old way of doing things can be incredibly time consuming. You spend hours searching through your notes, racking your brain, trying to remember that perfect quote or that meaningful fine motor development moment. You write a draft, you edit it, you reread it, and all the while trying to link everything, if you're an Australian educator, correctly to our early years learning framework, and also capture the child's unique personality. This isn't just about ticking boxes, but before you know it, your weekend's gone. Yes, this is meaningful work, but the process itself can really steal your motivation, that's for sure. Today, I'm showing you a new, more time-efficient way, and it's not a way that skips the work or makes the document feel less genuine, because assessments are important, but it's a collaborative method that maintains that professional approach. It's a true time saver. By the time you've finished watching this video, you'll know exactly how to use an AI assistant to help put the picture of the whole child together faster than you've ever been able to before. Today, I'm using Google's Gemini AI tool, but you can use whichever tool that you're most comfortable with at the moment. Before we ask our AI assistant to start writing, though, we need to give it a really clear structure, and this is going to save you time in the long run. The NQS doesn't actually specify a single format for us to follow, so it's about finding what works best for your service and your particular skills. And to help, I've created two simple templates that we're going to use as examples that give you a little idea. One that you can see here is the Early Years Learning Framework Snapshot template. And this is great for a clear outcome-focused summary. It has a section for each of the 5 early years learning framework outcomes. On this slide, you can see the narrative learning journey template. And this one's fantastic for telling a more holistic story, which parents often find more engaging and easy to read. It has sections like Leo's strengths and interests and our next steps together. And today, I'm going to use the narrative learning journey template. The key is that you can give your AI assistant the exact headings from whichever template you choose, and that ensures the output is going to be perfectly formatted for your needs. Before we even think about writing the final assessment, I want to show you a way to make the most of all the hard work you've already done. So if you've ever felt that your fantastic observations in your notes get lost or forgotten, or it takes you longer than ever to bring everything together, then this first step is for you, because I'm going to start by building what I call the puzzle box. I use this template as something to collect all these puzzle pieces together. You can see here we've got a puzzle piece category, that's what you've collected, where to find it, why is it meaningful, that's what does this piece show, and you can also say when you last recorded that information as well if you want to. I've put some examples in there like learning stories, photos and videos, anecdotal notes, whatever it is that you use. I'm going to show you how we then use that information that we've gathered and we can start building that puzzle together, collecting all of this information, organizing it. This stops it all from being lost. You can add more, you could do less. You don't need to include everything, just the really meaningful ones that you want to come back to. It isn't about creating new documentation. It's about organizing the valuable evidence that you already have. And by taking a moment to fill this out, even though it's a little extra time, you save time in the long run because you create that clear overview, which is fantastic for reducing that feeling of overwhelm all the time. And here's where the exciting part is, where our AI assistant can give us a helping hand right from the start. Because the most important step is always going to start with you. AI can't create what it doesn't know. So your expert knowledge is the foundation of this process. Once you've decided that these are going to be your best examples to represent his learning journey, we can use a simple prompt with an AI to help us see the themes and connections before we even start writing the full assessment. This can be a huge time saver for you. We're going to give the AI our first instructions. That's just our prompt. You can say question, whatever makes the most sense to you. So I'm going to open my Gemini account. You can see it's nice and clean, very easy. You've got a chat box there, and all you've got to do is type into your chat box. I've put some answers out already so that I can just copy them in for you. Otherwise, it takes too long to show you all of these examples. But All I'm saying is review these notes for a 4-year-old child and organise them into key learning themes like social skills, problem solving, fine motor, and language. We're taking those notes from our puzzle box, and now we want to take those and get them organised for us into learning areas. Let me just copy that. And I'm going to paste that into the little chat box. You can see here, let's have a quick look. I've said review these notes for a 4-year-old child, organise them into key learning themes like social skills, problem solving, fine motor, and language. You might want to be more specific there. The more detailed you can be, remember, is the better with the AI. And then we're just going to press the submit button and see what it comes back with. See how it's thinking here, and it's talking through all of these little things, and then it finally comes out with our notes organized into key learning themes. So it's put those notes I gave it. Obviously you would be more detailed with your notes. I'm just giving some brief jottings, but you would have a lot more documentation or evidence collected, I'm sure, but don't try and put everything in. We want to sift through a little bit and decide what you feel tells the story of the child's learning so far. All I would do with this is copy that, because what we were going to do now is put that back onto my little example table here. Let's say that's our first step completed. This is just a Google document. I just like when I'm working with AI to come back over to a document so I can do my editing there, and it's easy to copy and paste. So I right click, I always paste without the formatting, or if you do want to keep it from the AI, you can also come over here and click copy response. Most of the tools have some sort of different way that you can copy, and then you can come over to your document. If I go here, copy again and paste, you can see it's come out with the formatting there. It doesn't always do a great job, but if that's something that you want to use to start you off, it's good to put in your prompt, please format it in this style, and that way you'll save even more time. This is giving us a really clear structure, and it helps us see the connections in Leo's learning. It leaves less room for all that second guessing and procrastination that we often do. So we've got our social skills, we've got problem solving, we've got language, and we've got fine motor skills. If you'd put more information in there and ask for a more in-depth response, you would get it. But just for the sake of our example, I'm doing a brief one. And now I want to help you build that master prompt. We want to write the full draft of our summative assessment based on our information and our notes. So I'm going to do this piece by piece. I like to break up the prompting for you so that we can go through step by step and make sure we can get that detailed level of information that we want back to ensure that our assessment is meaningful. First, we want to go through the persona. We need to tell the AI who we want it to be, who we want it to take on the skills and expertise of. And this is really important for getting the right tone and expertise. I'm putting in here that I want it to act as an expert early childhood educational leader with deep knowledge of the Australian Early Years Learning Framework. You could put whatever you want in there, whatever you feel is best. I find this role tends to work quite well for the early childhood specific ones, but you really want to specify it for your role and your children's ages. We've given the role. Next is our context. That simply means that we're going to give it some background information. Normally, I would make all my prompts and put them on a Google Doc first, and then I just copy from there. But as we're doing it in the example, I'm putting them all together here. So you can see I'm writing a mid-year summative assessment for a 4-year-old child named Leo. He is a creative and thoughtful child who loves construction play, and he's currently developing his confidence in social situations with friends. We haven't finished yet. Now we want to put in the really important part. This is our data, our evidence, if you like. And I'm going to say, here are 4 key puzzle pieces of documentation that I've collected for your analysis. It's going to do the analyzing part, and we want to give it as much information as we can. Now copy these that we got back before and pop it in there. It's got all of those details now, and again, keep in mind that the more detail you provide at this stage, the more detailed, more personalized that your response is going to be, especially with a summative assessment, and you're not going to have to go back and forth chatting and re-asking different questions just to get the information and the detail that you want. A quick tip, if your notes are in a PDF or a photo, you can upload them directly. However, don't forget to follow child safety protocols. This means blurring children's faces and removing any identifying service information or those real names documents before you upload them. So now we're up to the next step, which is to give it the core task. It's useful at this stage to be very specific about the structure and the format that you want. If your service or center has a required template that you have to use, even if it's on a digital app or something like that, they'll still have headings and things like that. But if there is something that you're required to complete, then make sure to give your AI assistant at this stage the template outline, even if it's just headings and subheadings that you are required to complete information under those headings. For this example, I'm going to be using our short template that I created. You should be able to see that on the screen there. And that's the narrative learning journey one. And fill it. So I would put in something like this. Using the notes provided, please write a summative assessment that follows this exact structure. And then I would copy that. Let's come back to Gemini now and keep going with our prompt. Don't hit this one because it'll go when you haven't finished your prompt. Don't hit enter either. I've learnt that one over time. So this is my template example. And I'm going to say this is the template that we want to use. Then I need to fill in information for the areas under these headings. Let's copy that. Copy whatever you have or need to use, even if you just have to type it in if it's a digital thing. I'm going to paste that in there as is. Then I'm going to put in any other additional details that you want to put in there. You could put something like this underneath it. All I've said there is under the areas of meaningful growth heading, please connect the observations to the early years learning framework learning outcomes. It's important that you don't just name the outcome. This is something that I always like to do in there. But briefly explain in parent-friendly language the how behind why it's making those connections and links. Why does that observation show this specific learning and this outcome? I've given an example. It's always really handy to give the AI an example of what you're looking for. Just while I'm on that note, for our overseas viewers, if you're using another standards or frameworks or whatever it is that you're using, simply replace early years framework learning outcomes with the one that makes sense for you or what you're trying to align with. Finally, we're going to add to our prompt the parameters. It's just setting our tone of voice and the style that we want it written in. Let me paste it in here for you. The overall tone should be warm, strength-based, professional, and also parent-friendly. I often say write in UK English, even though I'm Australian, because AI tends to often revert back to this awful Australian slang. I guess that's because what it's learnt on the internet. Doesn't always get the spelling right, but of course that's why you put it into your documents so that you can then edit. So now we've got all of our prompt there. We've put in our format, our template that we want to be able to come back with. And now I'm going to hit submit and see what it comes back with. And it's thinking. It's actually opened up in a new screen, what they call a canvas in Google. It's already nicely formatted for you. And it's doing that because you asked it to follow that template. One of the reasons I love using Google Gemini as the AI tool is because I have it connected to my Google Drive. So it means that it's already saved in my Google Drive, but you can of course just copy and paste it into whatever document you want. Let's take a look at what it's given us here. We've got our Leo's journey so far, which is what we wanted. And then we've got strengths and interests we've celebrated, areas of meaningful growth. So it's gone through some of those, and our next steps together. This is where you're putting in some goals and things like that. This is just an example template. It's not the be all and end all that you need to use. But even though this looks great, you're going to have to read through this. We are not finished. We want to be clear about that, because this next part is the most important step, especially when you're using AI for any type of documentation or especially assessments. This is where we shift from just a good draft, which is what we've got now, into a more genuine, meaningful assessment. It's time for what I like to call the expert edit. I'm going to take you through how we can do that. First, I'm going to copy. You can also press the copy button, but I'm just going to do it this way, everyone, no matter if you've got Google Drive or not. Let's come back to our puzzle pieces, and I'm going to open up another tab in here. Then I'm going to paste that in. As you can see there, it's kept the formatting, but there's some words like flourishing. I would not use that word. I don't like as many dot points like this, so I'd be getting rid of them. This final step is about refining it, making your own edits, and bringing in your voice, because the AI's given you a really fantastic starting point, but it doesn't know Leo like you do. This is where we need to add in our own professional voice and also insider knowledge. Let's ask the AI to help with the tone a little bit, because I'm not as keen on the tone. So you could type something like, "That's a great start. Now rewrite it to sound more personal and warm, say, focusing on Leo's curious and friendly nature." Let's pop that into our little chat box over here. Okay, and we're going to press go on that and see what it comes back with. And it will do it on this canvas. All right. So it's adjusting and refining. You can see here it's talking. It's what we call a thinking model. It thinks it through before it gives the answer to you so that it becomes a better answer. It's gone through all of this thinking first in seconds. You can see how much it's done. And now it's saying I've rewritten the assessment to have a warmer, more personal tone. So let's have a look. You can see here that it has changed a bit of the wording. I don't think we've got flourishing anymore, and a few other things. I always make sure whatever's written there is correct. Sometimes the AI can still make mistakes, so you've always got to check that, swap in and out words that you feel are more in your style, add in things that perhaps it hasn't captured that you forgot to give information about, and it's now come to mind about that child, so that you now want to put that in there. Consider how else that you can edit and make a difference. For example, you can come back in here and say something like, "That's much better, but now I'll add the details that only I would know." And that's where I go through and sort of go, yes, that's accurate, but it's generic, and I'm going to add in my own personal touches. And I really encourage you to do that. It doesn't take much time, but it does make all the difference. If you're happy with it, then you're good to go. Let's do another one. In the next step section, it actually, somewhere here, it suggested provide more complex construction materials. Good, but we can make it more personal. So we might add a specific reference to his interest in that rocket ship. I would say something like, "To continue supporting Leo's amazing creativity, we will be introducing a project to build the super tall rocket ship for animals that he spoke about using a range of recycled materials." This makes the goals specific, more engaging, and directly linked to his own words and ideas. So the AI is building the puzzle for us, but we're the ones who are adding all of those final meaningful touches and, of course, the puzzle pieces to start with. That's what makes it truly unique to each child that we're writing the summative assessment for. If we have a look over here at our example, if we might get something back like this. I've copied and pasted, and this is how I would work through in my process. I'd have it under the headings and then just go through the same as what we've done here. You've got it there and it's done. I find it really speeds up the process if you can put in your template. I had this template if you want more of an early years learning framework style snapshot. You could go something like this. I'll make that a bit bigger for you. So you can make something like this. This is an example. But again, you're just going to have child's name, date, etc., educator's name, whatever it is you want to put on there. Perhaps your service does have a template or a system that you need to follow. I know some people really like to split it out into the different outcomes, the different learning outcome areas. So if that's what you like to do, then just something simple like this and get the AI to help you as you go again through each of these sections. You can see this one's more closely related to each of the outcomes, even though our narrative style still has it in here. Make this one a bit bigger too. You can see it's still linking to outcome and explaining why it's linking to that outcome, that activity or that action that was done. The other one has a little bit extra, and of course you can combine and create your own template. Ask the AI tool to help you with that too. Just talk to it normally and say what you want to put in, what you want to see your template as, or what you're trying to achieve. Just talk normally like you would with another educator or your leader or a mentor, and then see what it comes back with. You can go back and forth and say, no, I like this bit, can you remove this and put this in? And it becomes again another really easy process when you've got that collaborative partner with you. So that is the entire process. It's a partnership that makes the most and honors the hard work you've already done, collecting and writing all that documentation, doing your programs to get that evidence and pulling all those little individual puzzle pieces together, while respecting your time because you're using a helpful tool. It's not a cheat, it's a tool to help you bring everything together and make more sense. We're not all fantastic at writing, and sometimes it's in your head, but you don't know what you need to get it onto words, onto paper. Even though you know what you want to say, sometimes that procrastination step can be around, I don't know how to say it properly, or I don't know if I'm ticking off the right section. So it can help you with all of that. It means you're not left with a generic computer-generated style report that everyone's doing. You're left with a professional, meaningful story of a child's progress on their learning journey with you so far. And you didn't have to sacrifice your weekend to write it or get all of them done. But it is a huge time saver for sure. But you might be surprised to know, I'm going to show you one more example, that inside the AI Empowered Educators membership or the All Access Academy membership of mine, I've made this even easier for you, especially helpful if you need to just get a whole lot done and you're running out of time. I call it my Summative Assessment Writer Smartform. It's powered by my specially trained AI helper in the background called Sammy the Summative Supporter, really original. And it has this entire process built in. It's actually even more detailed because I've done all the prompting in the background already for you. All you've got to do is answer a few questions and put in your information. I'll show you how it does it because it guides you step by step with some simple reflective questions. So you don't need to figure out what you need to write in the master prompt before getting started. Yep, I've done all of that hard work for you. Let's take a look. We're going to log in. So this is inside the Smartform library. We also have the AI assistants, chat assistants team, where we have all the different assistants here that you can choose if you prefer to chat and go back and forth, just as you would like I was doing with Gemini. But we're going with the Smartforms today. I'm going to go by category, and I know that I want assessment, so I'm going to click on assessment, and that's going to take me to that category that has a lot of those forms. It's constantly growing. I'm constantly adding new Smartforms. For now, we're going to choose the Summative Assessment Writer here. So we're just going to click on that, and it's going to open up that form for you here in your membership in the same screen. And then you can see our helpers here. The reason I do that is to make it a little bit more approachable. AI can be a little bit scary sometimes for people, especially if it's something new that you're learning. So this just makes it a little bit easier. You can just jump straight in. As you can see here, We've got foundations, big picture, details, and partnerships. So I've split it in to some simple questions. Let me fill in this quickly as we go. I've got some examples here, so I'm going to copy them in for you. Let's say date of birth 2021. So we're going to scroll up here. We're going to choose 21. We're going to choose May. And let's just go 15th. We're just going to say term 3, 2025. Educator's name. I'm going to put Jody. And then you select your setting. I have quite a few in here. And then we're just going to click on next, and it takes you obviously to the next page, which is the child's journey. This is more where I'm gathering information about the bigger picture. You can put as little as you want in here. You don't need to write a novel, but keep in mind, the more information you can give, the better your response is going to be. Let's put in some examples that I've done previously so it doesn't take us too long to get this in. Describe the child's general disposition, which just means their general personality, their approach to learning. Are they curious? Are they social? Are they a bit shy? Just put in what you know there. You might just want to put in a couple of words. You don't have to put as much as I'm writing here. And then what evidence are you drawing on? Let's say our observations. We've got some photos, we've got some parent conversations and some artwork. And then we're going to click next. If you've only got one or two things, then just click one or two things. That's fine. Then I'm asking you, what are the child's key interests and strengths right now? This is the type of stuff that you already have in your head usually because you know these children so well. And this is helping you get it out of your head so you don't have to worry about, trying to phrase it correctly. Let's just put there. If you can put more in, do so. But if not, and if you find that difficult, just put in some simple words or a sentence or two. That is absolutely fine. Just know that you won't get as detailed response back because, as I said, the AI can only know what you tell it in terms of the child that you're writing about. Otherwise, it's just going to make it up. And yes, it will sound great. And you can put that in, but it's not going to be meaningful at all to the child, to the parent, to your future planning, anything like that. So let's quickly go to next. And our final step is our planning together, the partnership. What insights or goals have the family shared with you? If there's nothing, just leave it blank. But more often than not, we have something that we can put in there that we know from our conversations with the parents, or it might be something that's going on in the family life for that child at the moment and not something specific that the parent has said to you. If you've got some goals or some ideas, it doesn't have to be fully fleshed out, but perhaps we might say something like we want to encourage him to share his creative ideas, take on more of a leadership role and collaborate with his peers. Let's put something like that. So whatever you've got there, whatever you've picked out because you know that child the best. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down here, just generate my assessment, and then we'll see what we get back. It's telling me that it's thinking now. You know how we had Gemini and it was thinking? It's doing that process in the background because I've set it all up. So you have to give it a few seconds because it has to have a good think about it. And I've already set up a template for you. So it's thinking of information, using what you've given it in answer to those questions. Now we can see that wasn't very long at all into your summative assessment. And you can simply go copy to clipboard here if you like, and again I would encourage you then go over to your document and your Word doc, paste it into there, and you can upload it if you need to into your digital things. You're still going to want to check this and then make your edits as needed. You can see it goes into a lot more detail, and that's because I've done a lot more detailed prompting in the background for you, and also the questions that I've used there, that I've asked you on the form. The reason I've created them are the sort of questions I would ask if I was working with you as a consultant or a coach or mentor trying to improve the information and how you write your summative assessments. You can see here it's quite detailed. Please do go through them again though, just to make sure it hasn't made anything up or it doesn't, sound right with what you know about that child, and it breaks down all the different areas. It gives you his qualities, interests, his strengths. Some of it's just summary, some of it's giving you ideas, and it's a great summative assessment that both parents and you will find helpful. So I just wanted to show you that as an option, especially if you're a member watching this. And I'll leave a link for you in the notes below in case you want to go and check that out and see how you could have a go of that as well. We've got lots of other tools here. We've got some for sustainability, some for leaders and management. The mock assessor simulator is very, very popular at the moment. It takes you through a mock assessment and some of the questions that might be asked, the evidence that you might need to have ready to go for different areas that you want to focus on. There's lots here if you want some inspiration for more play ideas and activities for your program. So that's it for this episode. If you found this helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It's a new channel and it truly helps me to reach and support more educators just like you. We're all beginning that journey into AI, so you're not behind, but you do want to get onto it now. Let me know in the comments what you wish AI could help you with, and perhaps you'll see the solution explained in one of my next videos for you. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back with you again soon. Bye.